Everybody's hopping on. Hi, guys. Welcome. Welcome to the party. Let me put my thing down here. Okay. Oh, I'm so busy. How many people here are like really busy? It's like one thing after another after another. All right. So introduce yourself to me, please, in the chat. As everybody starts coming in, introduce yourself to me. Where are you at? You know, what kind of experience do you have investing in real estate or investing in self-storage? How do you know me? You know, why are you interested in self-storage? Just tell me your life story, right? Just post in the chat so I know who's there, because I see everybody's hopping on. Thank you so much for spending the next hour or so with me. We have a lot of stuff to go over, right? I'm gonna give you some good info, but please introduce yourself in the chat. I don't want to be like the only person like talking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's kind of a webinar, but I feel like I'm just talking to this camera. So if you could introduce yourself, I'd really appreciate it. And tell me who does. Krishna already said hello to me. That's awesome. Hi, Krishna. Belinda and Ken are here. Okay, awesome. New to self-storage and learning more as we go. Also, do me a favor, please, in the chat, tell me like, how did you hear about me? All right, did you get like an email from me? Was it like a Facebook ad? Was it, if you remember, was it a like social media post? Was it in like a Facebook group? Like, kind of how did you hear about me, so I can see what type of oh yeah, look, so Krishna said he found me on YouTube. Awesome. So that's working. And actually, I don't do anything on YouTube except for like, we just post these webinars, because we're trying to figure all this out, so just bear with us. Okay. But so everybody's hopping on. Introduce yourself in the chat as you come in. Tell me how you've heard of me. Tell me your experience with self-storage investing. Why do you want to invest in self-storage? Who wants to invest in self-storage, and why, right? Do me a favor and do that. So I see Sandra from Atlanta, new to self-storage and interested in Atlanta, found you through the South Atlanta area. Awesome. Johnny out of Rome, Georgia, found you on Facebook. Mark says he found me on Facebook. Good, awesome. Okay, and now everybody tell me, why self-storage? What, in your mind, why? Why do you want to do self-storage, right? That would be great. And then real fast, I wanted to make sure that you guys, I'm going to share my screen and just show this to you. And I want to make sure that you guys go to stacyrossetti.com, right? And then on here, you guys can see my screen. On here, you can go, this webinar and all the other webinars that I ever do are always right under free trainings. Okay, so you just go on to free trainings. And there's a whole bunch of every webinar. I try to do a webinar almost every Tuesday. Going forward, it'll probably be like every Tuesday for free. And this is right. And then you fill this out and then you get access to my free training stuff. So I just want to do that. Another thing I wanted to show you guys too was the Facebook group, which I'm doing 5-day challenges, right? So if you are interested, I have a 5-day challenge coming up, the Super Simple Self-Storage 5-day challenge. Okay, so you can go to the Facebook group and try to join, and then Usman will send you a link where you have to register, right? So you can't just get in, but you have to register first. All right. And this is the Super Simple Self-Storage 5-day challenge, okay, for storage. And then I also have a 5-day challenge for beginner investors as well too. So if you also want to learn how to wholesale, rehab, invest in real estate, there's a 5-day challenge coming up, and it's called Real Estate Investing for Beginners 5-day challenge. The storage 5-day challenge is like the last week of October, and the beginner 5-day challenge is like the first week of November, right? So if you're interested in either one of those, make sure that you join those and hang out with us. And I'm just going to like teach for 5 days on investing. Okay. Also, another thing I wanted you to check out right here, you can see the Super Secret Investor Society. Here's my mastermind, right? So if you're interested in having a mentor teach you how to get involved in, how to really like do self-storage, like I'm going to give you a lot of information, but like if you want, if you need a mentor, coach, or a mastermind, highly recommend that you check this out. And actually you can just go to storagenerds.com is the website. Okay. And then you can, check out my coaching program. It is awesome. I love it. We just had our group coaching session this morning, and we talked about we talked about self-storage software, property management software, right? Okay. And that's what we talked about today. All the different softwares out there, which was pretty cool, huh? Honestly, the thing with self-storage that you've got to remember is that when you invest in self-storage, you're buying a retail business. Okay. So it's the 3-step process. All right. It's the 3-step process. And I'm actually going to do a webinar on this, I think next week. I think I'm going to do that. But, get over here. Okay. So the 3-step process, right, is find them, fund them, run them, right? And so I will do a webinar on this process I think it's next Tuesday. So just keep your eye out for the webinar. I'm not sure. I think it's next Tuesday. Okay. And I'll go into how do you find self-storage, how do you fund them, and then how do you run them. But the thing is that most people, they don't realize that you're buying a business. You're buying a retail business that is going to have to need your 24/7 care. Okay. So, and like what happens, somebody tell me this. What is the percentage of small businesses that fail within the first 5 years? Does anybody know this? What's the percentage of businesses that fail within the first 5 years? Does anybody have any guesses on that? Right? So you do not want to become, right? You do not want to become the storage facility that I buy, right? You don't want to become that, right? So you have to learn how to run your business like a machine. And the truth of the matter is that, if you know how to automate and systematize a storage facility, you can truly be anywhere in the world and still run it, right? So I can be anywhere in the world and still run my storage facilities. In fact, I proved it by going on a 4-month vacation this year. I was on a vacation for 4 months, traveling the country. And guess what? We just ran our storage facilities from like wherever we were. Isn't that awesome? Gone are the days where you buy a storage facility and sit there every single day to make sure that you don't miss somebody coming in through the doors. Okay. And I actually talked to a seller Sunday, and I call and talk to him, and he was like, it's Sunday, it's my day off. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just calling about your facility. And he's like, he's like, we're full right now. And I said, oh no, I'm just calling to see if I want to buy your storage, if I can buy your storage facility. And he was like, no, I'm not going to sell. I'm not interested in selling. And I said, okay, well, is it okay? Like, if I send you, a letter and like, you just hold on to it. And then like, if you're ever interested, just let me know. And he said, yeah. And he said, he said like, when I retire, he's like, this is my life, the storage facility. He's like, I get up every day and I come to work every day. I manage my storage facility. He's like, I can't retire. I'm not ready to retire, And he literally like every day, he said 6 days a week, he works at his storage facility. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why would you do that? I mean, his storage facility was not any bigger than one of mine. And I'm thinking like, why? I was like, all I'm thinking about is where can I find more money to buy another storage facility, right? Because we're so automated and systematized that once you get your first one down, you're like, it starts getting addicting, because you truly can make it passive income, right? So who would have said 75? I saw 80%, 75, 80, 50%. Yeah. So 85% of all small businesses fail in the first 5 years. And the reason why, and we'll go into detail on this next week, but the reason why is because people don't know how to run businesses. I mean, where's entrepreneurial 101 school at, we all learn all these like theories and stuff in school, but the actual like nitty gritty, like actually, it's actually like finances, actually how to run a business. Like essentially you have to hire a coach that has experience to teach you how to do that. That's what I do, at least. I hire coaches to tell me exactly what to do. All right. Because you can't really learn this stuff in school. All right. I have a master's, I didn't learn any of this stuff, it was all theoretical what I learned. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about that next week. So if you're interested, come and hang out with us next week. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. All right, so let's get started on the 5 different ways that you can invest in self-storage, okay? All right, so, and, and the thing is that the way that these, whichever path that you choose, okay, there's nothing wrong with it. It's all the one that you choose, or the one that actually chooses you. A lot of time the path just chooses you, right? Because you start marketing for like your facilities and do all the marketing, and then the one that comes along is kind of like, the one that comes along is like, you can't control what it is. Now, if you don't like it, you can always wholesale it. All right. So number 1, wholesale storage facilities, right? So number 1. Let's do your 5 paths. Okay. Number 1 is you can wholesale storage facilities. Now, has anybody ever wholesaled a property before? Put it in the chat if you know what wholesaling is. Like, yes, I know what wholesaling is, but I've never wholesaled any property. Or yes, I like wholesale houses all the time. And then does anybody, tell me, in the chat, kind of tell me, what is your experience with wholesaling? Who here like has no idea what wholesaling is, and who here is like, yes, I know what it is, and I do like 10 wholesale deals a month. All right, let me know in the chat, please. No idea. Awesome. I love it. Who else? Come on, give me some, everybody's got to say something in here, right? Who knows what wholesaling is? Tell me what you guys know. I find properties for wholesalers all the time. So you're like a bird dog, Mark, or what? No idea. Belinda says no idea. Kyle, not sure. Martin says yes, I know what wholesaling is. Assignment, I know what it is. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, so wholesale, you can wholesale storage facilities, and you basically wholesaling. So I'm not going to get into what wholesaling is, because we're just talking about the paths. But essentially, it's a property, right? It's a seller, and then it's you, right? And then it's a buyer. Right? And you are the middle person between the buyer and the seller. All right? So it's kind of like a broker, right? But you have to put the property under contract, right? And let's just say you find a storage facility. This is what happened to me. I found a storage facility for, I think it was $165,000. Okay. And then I put it under contract, right? I put a contract on it. And then I found a buyer to buy it for $215,000, right? And guess how much money is that I got in the middle, right? So I got like minus like all the like the realtor fee, there's no realtor fees, but all the like closing costs. I got like, I think it was like 55 grand or something. It was like, or 59 grand or something. Let's just say 60K. I made $60,000 by wholesaling that facility. All right. And these numbers are not impossible. This is like typical numbers. I mean, you can make anywhere. Now, what you have to do with wholesaling is you have to know how to analyze commercial deals. All right. So this is not a residential property. This is commercial property. Okay. So that means that you have to learn things, and I'm not getting into this today. You need to learn what cap rate is, ROI, cash on cash return, yield. You have to learn like what the DCSR is, your debt service ratio. You have to learn like all these terms, and you have to learn how to analyze and calculate those. All right. That's something that we get into very deeply into the mastermind, right? So analyzing, but to sit here and teach you how to do that is impossible. Now I am going to do a webinar on like how to do like a quick calculation. I think like in maybe like a month or something to do like a quick calculation. But essentially, wholesaling is one of the 5 ways that you can invest in self-storage. And if you know what you're doing and you know how to put a buyer's package together and you know how to run numbers properly, right? Because not many people do, then you can make very good money wholesaling, right? It's not like wholesaling a residential property, you make like 5 or 10 grand or 15 grand, right? I mean, you're starting at 10 or 15 grand and going up. And most of the time it's quite more than that, okay? So that's number 1, wholesaling storage facility. Any questions on wholesaling storage facilities? And like I said, I will go more into depth a little bit on a couple of webinars down the road. All right. Okay, cool. Number one is wholesaling self-storage, and you have to learn how to run commercial deal analysis, okay, in order to do this. And you have to learn how to put a buyer's package together, okay, and find buyers. Essentially, is what I'm saying. And finding buyers, you have to find the seller and you have to find the buyer, right? That's what wholesaling is. Any questions? Okay. Right. Number two is my favorite, absolute favorite way to invest in self-storage. Anybody guess? What's my favorite way? Anybody have any ideas? Nothing? Driving, yes. Okay, Christian, you're right. Well, actually, that's not a path. That's the marketing value add, right? So it's mismanaged facilities. Okay, mismanaged facilities. All right. So a mismanaged facility is a facility that is 50% or less full, right? The owner is just pocketing the money. He pockets the money. The money goes into the pocket, right? He doesn't use QuickBooks. He doesn't have a P&L and a balance sheet. He doesn't want to give his tax returns, right? The price, the price of units is too low versus the competition. So unit price. So for instance, like I was looking at a storage facility this summer where like it was 100% full, but he was charging like half of what everybody else in the whole area was charging, right? So, and that was his philosophy. The owner was like, I just want to be 100% full. You know, he didn't really care about like how much he was a kid. And actually, I mean, I was getting that thing for literally 50 cents on the dollar. And the reason why is because he was charging half of what he should have been charging. And a lot of these owners, you know, especially when they've had these things for 10 or 20 or 30 years, all they really care about is it's 100% full and I'm getting enough money, you know, to live off every single month or something. And they don't run it like a business. They don't have a P&L. They don't have a balance sheet, right? They don't want to give you the tax returns. And the reason why they don't want to give you tax returns is because they have the properties in their own names. right? They don't even have a business. It's just like, some land that they got, and they had like 30 acres of land, and then they just put a storage facility on it. And it's the same acreage that their house is on. This happens all the time. Okay. So, yeah, so mismanaged facilities, you're going to find they're going to be like, 50, 60, 60% or less full, right? So I'm looking at one right now. It's like, they're telling me it's like 42% full. Okay. Which probably means like 30 to 35% full. And then probably even more of those, a couple of those are even just not even paying, saying full is different than paying, right? Full is different than paying. My first facility, I talked to Butch, right? And I was like, it's 100% full. And I said, well, how much are you making? And he said, $2,500 a month. And it's like, it's a 125 unit facility. He should be making like $8,000 a month. So it's 100. So full is different than, what was I thinking? Full is different than somebody fill in the blank. That's a good question. For full is different than, full is different than income, like how much income that you're making, right? So so make sure that when you ask your sellers and talk to your sellers, that you figure out what the income is, right? Versus like how full they are, So anyways, mismanaged properties is the next thing. Now with managed properties, okay, you cannot go to a bank and get a loan on these. There's no bank, there's no, first of all, you're never going to want to go anyways to like Bank of America and get a loan on a storage facility. This is not a good bank, right? You want to go to like a regional bank if you could, right? But you can't go to like Bank of the Ozarks or like, what is it, Community Bank or whatever, because you have to be able to take your P&L and your balance sheet of that property and the tax returns of like for the last 2 to 3 years, some want 2, some want 3. You have to be able to take those to a bank and they want to see the income, right? Because commercial properties are based, the loan is based on the income, how risky it is, right? Is it 90% full, 85, 80% full? And that loan is based on the income, okay? So you cannot go to a bank to get this. So what do you have to do instead? You have to borrow either private money or hard money. Okay, so private money or hard money for these. Private or hard money lenders. Just today in my mastermind for the group coaching call, we had a lender come on. We meet every other Tuesday, and we always have every other Tuesday a lender coming on. And the lender is a hard money lender, and he was just like, it's basically a company that they've been doing like hard money lending for 20 or 30 years, and now they have so much money that they just lend their own money now, right? So it's kind of like a private lender, but it's a business, so it's a hard money lender, and there's a lot of those out there. Okay, and he loves storage facilities, and he's just like, bring it on. He's like, and hard money lenders, especially on the commercial side, are asset-based lenders. Asset-based lenders, right? So they are literally going to look at the deal, right? And like a lot of if you're going to do like flipping and wholesaling and stuff, it's all credit-based lenders most of the time. But on the commercial side, it's asset-based, right? Especially hard money lending. So I love that. And so you're going to find a hard money lender to fund this, which is a higher interest rate, but all good, right? Because you're going to take out a loan for 3 to 5 years. It's going to take you, right, at least 2 to 3 years to get your P&L and your balance sheet up and bring this facility back to life. And it might take you a year to get it up and running, depending on how bad it is, right? But the bank, so you can refi that money out, the bank is going to want to see 2 years or 3 years of P&L, balance sheet, and tax returns from you with a profit, right? So it's going to take you 1 year to get that profit, and then it's going to take you another couple of years to actually get that information, right? And to get all that data into QuickBooks, right? So with mismanaged facilities, the thing is that you buy these like 50 cents on the dollar. 50 cents on the dollar or less, or less. I have a property that I spent $250,000 for, and it's worth probably like $800,000 right now. And it's not even at 100% and like at the competitors' prices that are around, right? It's worth like over $1 million. And so that's why I love these. I love these. These are gold mines if you can find them, right? But the thing is that you have to come out of pocket every single month, right? So you're not gonna make enough money to pay the bills to run the facility. Okay. So you're gonna have to come out of pocket. So the question that you need to be asking yourself is, do I have enough money to do that, right? And like, storage facility, like for us, the one that I just talked about, we bought 200 for 250. It's like, we had to come out of pocket probably a couple $1,000s every single month for like 1 year. Okay. And in order to get it up and running, and we didn't have any profit. It took us 1.5 years just to get a profit. Missy was it was horrible, this thing. So you need to, with mismanaged facilities, unfortunately, you have to borrow money from a hard money lender, and a hard money lender is going to want 20, depending on your experience, 20 to 30% down, right? Or you can find a private lender. Does anybody know when I talk about private lenders, what private lenders are? And then have they ever used private lenders? Okay, so I am 100% privately funded, right? I'm 100% privately, because you know why? It's because I just buy mismanaged facilities. So I have to be privately funded. And then also, like, I could go and use a hard money lender, but once you learn how to raise private money, right? Then what's it called? The oysters, what is it? Not the oysters yours? I don't know what to say. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you just have, like, the opportunities are endless, right? So if you want to get involved in mismanaged facilities, you have to learn how to raise money. Raise money, okay? Is what I'm saying. And I'm talking about raise money from like private lenders, because you always have to raise, like, the world is your oyster. Thank you, Mark. The world is your oyster. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So, and anyway, so with mismanaged facilities, you have to learn your business is not, you're not in the like self-storage business, right? You're in like the fundraising business. And actually, one of my mentors 10 years ago told me that. He was like, Stacy, he's like, what are you? And I was like, I'm a real estate investor. He's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, what am I? I was like, yeah, I'm not. What am I? He's like, well, what are you? Like, what do you do? And I was like, residential redevelopment. I'm a flipper, I'm a rehabber. He's like, no, you are a fundraiser. If you're going to make it in this business, in the real estate investing world, in any type of investing world within real estate, you have to learn how to raise money. All right. So mismanaged facilities, you have to learn how to raise money. This is something that we do a lot in my mastermind. So if you're interested, you can get into that, because I've raised millions and millions of dollars, and we're actually in the process of even just doing a fund, right? So being able to syndicate and stuff like that. So that is a mismanaged facility. Any questions on mismanaged facilities? All right, who's interested in mismanaged facilities? I forgot to ask. If you're interested, say, I am a mismanaged facility king or queen, right? And then and also who's interested in wholesaling? I want to see, like, I want to see who's also like, I'm gonna be the wholesaling queen of Georgia for self-storage or whatever. Brian's saying, I'm a king. Victoria says she's gonna mismanage facility queen. Awesome. I love it. Okay, cool. Okay, and then Belinda's like, I'm interested in mismanaged facilities. That has some power. You gotta be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. All right, okay. Number 3. I got the wrong one. Okay. I need like a paper returner, like for my webinars. I should be using my iPad, right? But that's like technology. It's like hard for me to figure out. Okay, number 3. This is also very good. Cash flowing properties. Cash flowing. Cash flowing properties, okay? Okay, yes, Masha says yes. Why don't you refinance? Yes, after you get this up and running, the mismanaged facilities, you have to refinance that out. Because the interest rate for like private lending and hard money lending is going to be higher than like a bank, you know, and banks right now. So that leads me to cash flowing properties, right? So cash flowing properties are going to be like 75% full, right? Or higher, right? Or higher. And let's see what else. Let me get some water. Okay, cash flowing properties, 75% or higher. What else do? They have a P&L and a balance sheet, right? The person that's running this business is actually running it like a business, right? So this is one of those facilities that I don't buy, right? Because I like mismanaged facilities. A P&L and a balance sheet. What else? And the tax returns, right? And it's the 80-20 rule for banks. Everybody knows the 80-20 rule, right? 80% and 20%. And this is the same thing. I think in life, everything is 80-20, right? So with the cash flowing properties, essentially the owner is running the property like a viable business. Like basically we buy mismanaged facilities and we make them into cash flowing properties. All right. And we're not getting into deal analysis here, but essentially like you're going to buy these at the highest, you know, at the lowest cap rate, right? Because they're not risky businesses, right? So the cap rate, the lower the cap rate, the riskier the business. The higher the cap rate, the lower the cap rate, the less riskier the business, right? The lower the cap rate, the less riskier the business, supposedly. The higher the cap rate, the riskier the business, okay? So, and we'll get into cap rate later too, but essentially these are going to be like, you know, these are less risky. They're making money. You can take the P&L and the balance sheet and you can go to the bank and be like, well, bammo. And they're going to be like, yeah, 4 cents, 25 years, 4% interest, 25 years. You can get fantastic rates right now on cash flowing properties. The banks are lending. My students are getting like 3 and 4% interest rates, right? And so they're getting awesome, they're getting awesome returns. Like I have, now the thing is though, is that you have to put 20% down, at least. Now I'm not talking about SBA loans, right? But like go to a bank. Like if you go to like a regional bank, and I highly recommend if you find a cash flowing property, you just go to the regional bank and you get a loan there. And on, you know, in terms are going to be 20% down on average, and then like 4 to 5% interest rate, you know, depending on your experience, with like a balloon, maybe 5 to 10 years, and it's amortized over 25 years. Okay. So this is your down payment is this. All right. And so now you can always get an SBA loan on this. SBA loves self-storage. And you can do like maybe as little, they're not doing 10% right now. It's like 15%, but as little, maybe, you know, maybe when the market gets better, they'll do, you know, but right now you see like in the market that down payments are up higher, right? The amount of the down payment is higher right now. So SBA is kind of around 15%. And then this is, and then like banks are like 20 to 25%, or even, or sometimes 30%, depending on your experience, right? And a hard money lender is going to be around 20 to 30% as well too, to put down. Okay. But some out there will do less, hard money lenders. You know, the thing with hard money lenders that I like, is that they're just so flexible, and they're just like, they're just like, and they can close in a couple of weeks. Whereas this is going to take you like 60 days. I mean, it's taking forever to close deals, right? Forever. Okay. But I love cash flowing properties as well too. So what I do, what I could do, or what I do is I can go out and find me that awesome mismanaged facility. Like right now, I'm looking at a facility that it's 50 units, all right, and it's in the middle of Georgia, 50 units, and it's like $115,000, okay. And it'll probably worth, like, once it's 100% full, and it's only like, it's supposed like 40% full. Once it's 100% full, it's probably worth around like maybe $250,000. So I only make like 100 grand on it, you know, but I'll get that money every single month because it doesn't really take that much money to even run storage facilities as well too. But that's a mismanaged facility. So now I'm saying, okay, I might have to come out of pocket a little bit for the next couple of months. Why don't I go and find me a cash flowing property, and then offset my my mismanaged facility income that expenses that I have with my cash flowing property. So you can really kind of balance that out, right? You can say like, okay, if I do buy this one, I'm going to go out and find me another one, and I can offset those expenses, right? So that is a great strategy if you're interested in really kind of building your portfolio out. Okay, good. So any questions on cash flowing properties? More of like turnkey properties, 10% experienced. And what are you talking about, Masha? They can also be mismanaged. They can be mismanaged. And SBA. Oh yeah. No, SBA. They're going. I think they're going. Everybody's going up with the down payments. Everybody's going up. So it's just for right now. Now we'll see what happens next year. Who knows? Everybody's like, everybody's saying it's awesome, but I don't know. I kind of have a bad feeling. So we'll see. Any other questions on cash flowing properties? Who's interested in cash flowing properties? And now cash flowing properties, like students in my group, essentially, they're just like, I don't want to deal with the mismanaged crap. I just want a business that's just, I can just, day one, I'm starting to make money. Oh yeah, what I forgot to do too is that you can also do value add with mismanaged facilities. Okay, so what that means is your price per square foot for your units, right? Let's just say that price per square foot is like 30 cents or something like that. And then the competitor's price per square foot is like 55 cents, right? So for instance, like one of my students, he bought a storage facility where it was like, I think 38 cents per square foot. And like the going rate in his area was like 58 cents. So he knew that as soon as he bought that facility, he could increase those rates and add the value. And then also that facility, it was on like a 2-acre lot, and the storage facilities only took up 1 acre, right? So he had a little bit of land, so he could still add value. So I know somebody in here said like value add. You can add value. You're going to be adding value on every single one of the ones that I tell you. That's what you're doing, is you're doing value add, right? So value add is not a path. Value add is a strategy. Okay. So, but with cash flowing properties, you know, you can also value add, right? So you can value add by increasing your rates to what the competition is and the market rates. And you can also look for properties that may have some land. Like I'm looking at one right now where it's 171 units and it's on 26 acres. And like literally the property is only takes up like 2 acres. I was like, man, there's a lot. What am I gonna do with 26 acres? That's like the biggest, I'm gonna make like the biggest self-storage facility in the world. So actually what you could do with that land too is you could do parking. Right, so several of our facilities have parking, and actually parking is very, you'd be open-minded because one of our facilities is kind of like in an industrial area. And we do parking for like big rigs and like dump trucks and tow trucks and this kind of stuff, and like box trucks and stuff. And you know, they pay more money than if you had a boat or an RV, but you could also do boat and RV storage and parking. Like one of my students in my mastermind, he just closed last week on a boat and RV storage facility. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to do boat and RV storage, which also, if you think about that, I mean, all that is a piece of land with a fence around it and a gate. And actually the one that he bought, like, doesn't even has a gate. It's just like, it's one of these like combination locks. So he's going to put a nice gate in. But essentially, like, you could just like fence that thing up and be like, go find, I could be, especially on 26 acres. I'd be like, go find a spot. When I bought the storage facility that I bought, the $250,000 one, it had the parking on it. And essentially the owner was basically like, oh, just go find a spot. And it was just like, I mean, it was just utter chaos. People would just like park wherever. You know, so you definitely don't want to do that. That's like mismanaging your facilities. Anyways, okay, any other questions on cash flowing properties? Number 3. Oh, who's interested in cash flowing? Scott is, Stephen is. Stephen, oh my gosh, where have you been? I haven't seen you in forever. Catch up. Okay, all right. You sold the bar? Awesome. You know, I was just in Tampa like 2 weeks ago. I should have called. We should have hung out. I didn't even think about it. All right, well, okay, number 4. The next one is, let's see, which one should we do? We can do new construction. New construction. Who here in the group has the perfect property for a storage facility? I get this I have the perfect property for a storage facility. Now what do I do? Right? Anybody in here have the perfect property for a storage facility? I had a new student join the mastermind, and he does his wholesale land. He's like, yeah, I know how to get land. Like, I can do land. And I was like, you should do new construction, right? If you know land, you should be doing new construction. Now, with new construction, okay, first of all, you got to find the perfect property, all right? So that's the question. Where is the perfect place? The perfect property. Okay, you got to find the land, and you've got to procure the land. So guess what? That's going to cost money, right? So you have to have money to buy land, unless you own the land already or whatever, right? But you're going to have to need the money to buy. You have to get the money to buy the land, and like to borrow money on land is actually it's difficult. There's not a lot of banks out there that will loan to you on land. Now, just land, like if you go out and just buy the land. Now, there are banks that will, like you just go land, like, you know, land bank or whatever, or something, or land loans or something. You can just Google it, and I'm sure you get like a whole bunch of stuff. But land is kind of hard by itself to get loans on. Okay. Now, but what you can do is you can get like an all-inclusive loan from a bank. And I highly recommend going to a regional bank. Don't go to a Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, because they're going to be like, I don't want to do that. In fact, they're not really doing any loans right now. They're protecting their assets. All right. So the regional banks and the local banks are perfect for new construction. And in fact, they are dying to give out loans for new construction, all right? So regional banks and hard money lenders, right? For new construction, right? But so first you've got to procure that land, right? Actually, you know what? Take that back. First step before you get the land is even more important. First step, number 1. This is number 2, right? First step is you need to go to the county to find out whether or not you can build on that, right? What is the rules and regulations of the county? So I should have said that first, right? You definitely have to go to the county or the city or whatever it is. So, so go there and talk to them first and say, okay, I'd like to build a storage facility, on this piece of property. Is it possible? What is it zoned as? And is it zoned commercial, industrial, agricultural? And then what does it need to be zoned at? If it's residential, and if you don't understand the zoning process, essentially the zoning process is it's kind of like a lanyard system. It's like levels, right? So if it's zoned like R2 and you want to get it to like commercial, it's kind of like you have to do this stepping process. Has anybody ever rezoned anything before? Yeah. So, and it's like it's not like, oh, like I just want to go and just get this rezoned. I mean, you have to go through this kind of process, and it takes forever. All right. Minimum a couple of months. With COVID, who knows? All right. And it also costs a lot of money. So when you're looking for land for your new construction, then you want to check the zoning, right? You want to check the zoning and make sure, and then you also want to check with the county to see what what it should be zoned for. So if storage facilities are really considered warehouses, all right? And it's actually the analysis for a storage facility is ran as a warehouse. You don't run these as it's not doors, it's square footage, right? And so so you want to make sure, and it might be light industrial, warehouse, commercial, so whatever the county has it, every county is completely different, and there's nothing across the board on any of the counties, okay? So the first step is going to the county and asking them for permission to be able to build the storage facility, right? And then secondly, I find out what the zoning is, and if it's not zoned for whatever it's supposed to be zoned, what is the process for getting it zoned, okay? So that's kind of the new construction, the start of the new construction phase. So first, county zoning, right? And then also, and I see here, Todd is writing feasibility study. You're right, feasibility study. And I mean, so some people get feasibility studies and some people don't. They start at like $5,000. I mean, they're kind of expensive, right? And a feasibility study is basically a study that they do to see what the traffic's like. Is it going to be a good area for you to build storage facilities, right? That's basically what it's saying. It's like, is this spot right here a good spot for you to build storage? Okay. And then you can take it with a grain of salt, because, like a lot of times you hear people get feasibility studies, like if it's near a city, right? If it's in in a metro Atlanta area or metro Orlando or whatever it is. But when you're in the middle of the country, right? And I buy facilities in the middle of the country, to get a feasibility study, I mean, that it's just going to be a different way of running that facility, right? So whether or not you get that, if you want to get a loan though, from a bank, most of the time they require a feasibility study, okay? And then another thing is environmental studies, all right? Soil testing, you always got to get soil testing, right? Can the soil hold the foundation? Is there any minerals on the, is there oil or whatever? I don't know what they're going to find, but essentially that's the testing, right? And those are also, yeah, like Stephen said, they are not cheap. They're not cheap, right? So the point is that this costs money, this costs money, this costs money, this costs money. And then you still got to build the storage facility, right? So building the storage facility, the foundation, the electrical, you know, the gravel and then the framing, right? And that also, that's a lot of money, right? Okay, to build it out, you have to come up with the money for that. And then guess what? I know you can't see this here, let me see. There it goes. And then guess what? You're starting from ground zero. And you got to get that thing filled, right? You got to get those tenants in there to start paying all this money that you spent, right? And so that's all comes down to the marketing, which of course on every single one, like there's a lot of marketing. There's always marketing. When you're running a business, you're doing marketing, right? So, so you just have to, like, you know, with new construction, and a lot of people do new construction, and you can get a loan from a bank for this, right? If you go out and find the perfect property, get the feasibility study, get the environmental study, you have to come out of pocket for that. So get all these studies, go to the zoning, make sure everything's all right. Everything's a go. You found a great piece of property, and then you just take that information to a bank, a regional bank right there, and then you get a loan. And you can get like the purchase, just get the construction loan, like purchase for the land, and then construction loan for the building of the facility. But there's also another thing about this, this takes a long time. This is like a year at least, all right, depending on how big you want. But I mean, it takes kind of, it's like, it's a project, right? Whereas like, you know, with like cash flowing property, like you buy that thing and immediately the next day you're starting to make money. Right? That's why I like cash flowing or mismanaged, right? Because, and I've done new construction houses, and believe me, it's a lot of work to do new construction, anything, right? So for me personally, my personal opinion is like, I want to invest in self-storage because it creates a lifestyle that I want, all right? And the lifestyle is that I want to be lazy. That's my lifestyle. I want to hang out with my family and I want to travel, okay? So I just kind of pick and choose the paths that fit my preference and what my goals and dreams are. And right now, all I want to do is hang out with my family and travel. So like this doesn't fit into that. Now, maybe later I might be like, I'm just tired of traveling and I just want to, like, you know, do a project or something, and then I might do this. But for now, that doesn't fit. Is anybody interested in new construction? Does anybody have like a piece of property? They're like, I was been thinking about us doing a storage facility. I'd like to know. Anybody interested in anybody have any other questions on new construction, right? And the more expensive that, and the closer you are to a city, the more expensive all this stuff is. The further away, so you have like the downtown, you know, main areas of cities, metro areas, and then you have like the secondary areas, right? And then you have like tertiary areas, right? And your cap rate is always the smallest, and then it gets like bigger and bigger as you go out. Okay, good. All right, Scott says no. Now, new construction, the thing with new construction too, though, is that you make, on the sell side, you're adding a lot of value, because let's just say it costs $500,000 to build. I mean, you're probably going to sell that thing for at least $1 million, right? You're going to make a lot of money, but it's just like, it's a process to get that thing built, filled, running, profitable after a couple of years. And then after that, you sell it and you make the big bucks. Okay. Cool. Okay, good. All right, finally, the last one. Is everybody sleeping? Did I put you all to sleep? Everybody's awake? Okay, hopefully y'all are awake. Okay, good. Christian says no, he's not sleeping. Good. I got one person that's not sleeping. Okay, Kyle's asleep. Kyle's awake. Okay, good. All right, finally, number 5. Okay, number 5 is, does anybody guess what number 5 is? Any guesses? What's the last way that you can invest in self-storage? Any guesses? Convert, awesome. Okay, yeah, so develop, right? Or you can say like conversions. Anybody interested in developing or conversions? All right, here in the group. And so this right here, like, This is like when you're driving, down the road and you're in a town or in a city or something like this, and you look over and there's like this like whole row of commercial buildings that are completely just empty, like never filled. And you're thinking to yourself, that would be the perfect place to put a storage facility. Right now, that is a conversion, right? And conversions, you don't have to buy the land, right? You just buy the retail building is what you're buying. So you're buying a building. So you need the money to buy that building. And then after you buy the building, then you have to you have to build it out inside. And there's all these different ways of, my head's getting cut off, but there's all these different ways of doing conversions and developing. We just had a guy come and speak at the mastermind, and he develops, like what he does is he goes into towns, like downtown towns, and he buys those old like factories. You know, I'm talking about like those like red brick factories that have like graffiti all over them, and like the windows are all smashed out because all the kids have been throwing rocks at them and stuff, you know. That's what he does. He goes and he buys those and he creates them into storage. And he is, and actually it doesn't cost a lot of money. I think he's doing one right now. It's like this huge, I can't remember how many, it's like 60,000 square feet. And it's only costing like a couple of $1 million. That's it. So these don't cost, honestly, a lot of money. And I know a lot of lenders out there, like SBA loans, love conversions, love developing. SBA loans love these bigger chunks, right? So if you can come up with 20%, right, and raise the money for 20%, then you could get an SBA loan for that 80%. Okay. And if you can't come up with the 20%, find somebody that has the 20% and partner with them and be like, yo, I'll manage everything, I'll do everything, and you just bring that 20%, let's partner and split it 50-50. Okay. And so this is something that you will see more and more and more of in the future, especially like now downtown of all the areas, like in all like downtown, you know, Nashville or Orlando or Charlotte or, you know, all these like downtown areas, you know, what's in like, just like Cube Smarts and public storages and what do they call them? U-Hauls and stuff. I mean, they're all just, they took over. Right. So like to go into those towns is kind of hard. Right. So you want to be looking at like secondary towns or tertiary, like you want towns like, you know, 100,000 people or something like this, or 80,000 people. And population is huge in the self-storage industry. Okay. So you've got to really know, like, I'm like a population. I'm always like, what's the population of this town? And I'm Googling, and you really, once you start learning self-storage, you understand that population is huge in like in running your numbers for deal analysis on self-storage. Okay, so so find these like secondary towns where they're like smaller towns that have like nice downtown areas, and you know, they're just like, and there needs to be, you can convert those retail businesses or those old factories or something like this. Now, and then developing also includes, right? Developing includes like syndication and going out and just buying a huge piece of land and doing like huge, big storage facilities. Okay. But like, I mean, you know, we're trying to get into the passive, we want to build passive wealth, right? So when you do like these huge, big buildings, I mean, essentially what happens is that you're just creating like a business. It's not passive, right? But let's put this down. So conversions is like, you want to find like retail centers that are empty. You know, there's a lot of those everywhere, right? And you want to learn to raise capital because you're going to need it. Now, you don't need a lot of capital, right? You know, you can raise a couple of $1 million. It's not that, once you learn how to raise capital, raising a couple $1 million is not that difficult, okay? And what else? About developing. So you got to find the retail space. You've got to raise capital. You can also learn to syndicate. Right. And honestly, and you know, I have a couple of students in the mastermind. They're like, no, I want to start out with like a $5 million deal or a $3 million deal. That's their focus. Is like their first deal is going to be, and they literally have no idea about self-storage. And like the one person that I'm thinking about right now, like literally like this, like in the past couple of months, has just been going around and raising money from like private lenders and going and like, you know, looking and finding facilities and learning how to run deal analysis on these bigger types of facilities. So totally doable. And like I said, hard money lenders also will lend on these. They love these, and SBA. So it's not impossible if you've never done self-storage investing before, because I've seen it within my mastermind. Okay. And all you have to learn to do is raise money, and you have to just have the confidence to be like, no, my first deal is going to be a huge deal, because some people, that's just what they want. Right. And so there are the 5 different paths. Okay, the 5 different paths. Did I miss anything on developing? Is anybody interested in developing self-storage or doing conversions for self-storage? Okay. Any questions? Yes, Kmart. Masha says Kmart. Go for it. Yeah, Kmart's good. Yeah. And it could be like, look, I have no money right now, and like, you know, I know I could raise, you know, 25 grand. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out and find this storage facility. And we started out with like small, and we got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now, like, guess what? I have a fund, and I'm raising money to do like bigger deals. Okay. So that's just how the path is, you know, but what I'm saying is that don't be afraid of, like, if you're just saying, no, like, I want to go big, you know, don't be afraid to go big as well too. Because especially right now, it's easy to raise the money for self-storage investing. It is easy to do that, right? Okay, good. What questions do you have about self-storage investing? So now you have the 5. Paths. Tell me of all 5 paths: wholesaling, mismanaged facilities, cash flowing facilities, new construction, and developing. Which of those 5 paths speaks to you? Which one do you think you're interested in? Tell me in the chat. Okay. Okay, Jeff says cash flowing. Steven says path 2 and 3. So cash flowing and mismanaged. New construction, Todd, awesome. Kyle says mismanaging, cash flowing. Brian says mix of 2 and 3. Okay, good. Yeah. Conversions. Who said? Mark says conversions. Awesome. Belinda says mismanaged and cash flowing. Krishna says cash flowing. Scott says cash flowing. Okay, good. Johnny says 1 and 2. Awesome. Okay, well, definitely everybody needs to learn how to wholesale storage facilities. Okay, this is something that you have to learn how to do, because what is going to happen is when you start getting into the self-storage game, you're going to come across properties that you're just like, this does not fit my repertoire at all. Like, I'm not into this. And then you can just wholesale that off. Okay, so everybody has to learn how to wholesale self-storage. You know, because once you start getting out and you start looking for storage facilities, and you start marketing for storage facilities, you are going to come across storage facilities that you're just not going to want. You're going to be like, I'm just going to wholesale that thing else. Like, maybe it's too far or whatever it is, you know, whatever the scenario is, or it's too much or whatever. So you can wholesale that off, right? Christian says, can you wholesale remotely? Yeah, no, wholesaling is completely virtual. Wholesaling is virtual. All right. So when you learn how to wholesale, now I think there's like a couple of states that you cannot wholesale in. I don't know which ones they are. They're like Indiana. I think it's one of the I states, but I'm not sure. So there's a couple of them that you can't wholesale in. So you can just Google like which states are not legal, like are illegal to wholesale in, right? Make sure you're not in that state. Actually, where is everybody? Put your state in so I know. But other than that, like most people, most states you can wholesale in. So I highly recommend learning. Indiana, Kyle, so I think you might be one of those. All right. So just look and see if it is. Texas, Iowa, good. Okay. Texas, check Texas. I'm not sure if you can wholesale or not, honestly. It might be Indiana or Iowa. I'm not sure on those, okay, for the wholesaling. So check that out. I can't remember. And so, so check out wholesaling. But if you can wholesale, highly recommend that you learn how to wholesale, right? And when you learn how to wholesale, honestly, you can just wholesale any property. If you come across a retail building, like I had a lady call up and she's like, she just like, I know you do self-storage, but I have a commercial building that I just don't want. Well, I said, okay, well, I don't want it either, but I'll just wholesale it. So you'll what will happen is like, once you start getting into the real estate investing world and the self-storage investing world, you will come across properties that you don't want. So those properties that you don't want, you just find buyers, right? You find somebody to buy it for you. Somebody will buy it, especially if it's a self-storage. If it's a storage facility. Okay. So my advice to you is to learn how to wholesale self-storage facilities. Number one. Number two, you have to learn how to run commercial bill analysis. All right. So you're going to have to learn, cash on cash return, cap rates, what's your ROI. Everybody's always asking, like, what's your yield? What's your cash on cash return? What's your debt service ratio? That's kind of the questions that you hear when you start getting into this industry. Okay. So you have to understand those terms and learn how to wholesale self-storage. Calculate self-storage. Now, if you go to storagenerds.com and you decide that you want to get into the mastermind, you just get my Dylan analyzer and you just be like, boop, 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 boop. And like after you put the numbers in, it just pops out to your tells you all the information that you need to know whether or not it's a good deal. All right. But if you don't do that, then you're going to have to learn how to run deal analysis. Okay. And then after that, whichever path that you pick is a great path. All right. So there's no right or wrong answers on what you need to be doing, which path. And they're in the industry, everybody, and all different kinds of people are doing all different kinds of deals and stuff. And, and so that's kind of really where we're at now. It's like, now what's the next steps? Right. And tell me right now, what are your next steps to get started in self-storage investing? What's the next thing that you're going to be doing to move yourself forward and take some action on doing this? Any ideas? My personal opinion is to sign up for my free trainings, watch all my free webinars that I do on self-storage. And then also I have a online jumpstart course that you can do. It's like $39, so it's not even that expensive. Okay. And if you want to take the jumpstart course, you can do that. Or if you really want to do this, and you're like, I want to do some storage facilities, man. I'm like Stacy, I'm a storage nerd. All right. If you want to be a storage nerd, then just go to storagenerds.com and come hang out with us. It's a great mastermind. Okay. Is it better to get a real estate license as well? No. Can you tell more about the mastermind? How much? If you want to talk about the mastermind, go to storagenerds.com and set an appointment with me. Okay. Because it's by application only. I want to make sure that you're a good fit into the mastermind as well too. Okay. So, and I see some questions in the Q&A as well. So I'll pull those up. Got some stuff. Jeffrey is saying 75% fell in the first. Yes, so just a guess. Shane says physical occupancy versus economical occupancy, I think is what you meant. Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks. So Shane was helping me. That's the question. How do you find these facilities? If you want to know how to find storage facilities, go to my free trainings and then watch how to search for storage facilities. Okay. And that'll at least get you started. So free trainings. All right. And then, or do the Jumpstart course, okay, for $39, or sign up for the mastermind, put an application in for storagenerds.com. All right. Okay. Let's see who else. Questions. Kyle appears. Illinois passed a bill in 2019. Yeah, so it was Illinois is what it was. Senate Bill 1873. It looks like I may be safe in the net. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Kyle. So do not do any wholesaling in Illinois. All right. Okay, good. Any final questions? Any final thoughts about self-storage investing? Okay. All right. I will see you at the next webinar. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.